This week on Dine Drink CLE, the podcast. When is a clambake no longer a clambake in terms of like what you're putting into the experience?
I know, right?
It is, yeah. Well, that's what I say to my mom. I'm like, you don't like a clambake. Yeah. You like a barbecue chicken party. Like, that's what it is.
Right.
Some people don't think white chicken chili is chili.
I think if you get past a certain point in the country, somewhere below the Mason-Dixon line, they don't even think beans belong in chili.
No, that is
crazy.
A very Midwest thing to put beans in it. They think it's like, well, because if you don't put beans in it, it's like eating a bowl of bolognese.
Yeah.
It feels very watered down to say it's a monk-themed bar, but it is. Like, it's part owned by the Capuchin order. All the food is going to be kind of monastic cuisine. So there's going to be things like fresh baked pretzels, stews, croquettes. They're going to have wine list and Trappist beers, which Trappist ales, they're a type of beer that can only be made by Trappist monks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm Josh Duke.
And I'm Alex Darus.
And you're either watching or listening to Dine Drink CLE, the podcast where each and every week we are joined by Cleveland's best and brightest food experts, insiders, and influencers talking all things food and drink here in the Northeast Ohio area. What are we talking about today, Alex?
Lots to talk about today. It's September, kind of the kickoff of fall. We're going to be talking about clambake season. People are doing a lot of chili cook-offs this time of year with football season starting. And we're going to talk about a few new restaurants in the greater Cleveland area. So,
yeah. But first, we have Paris Wolfe to talk to us a little bit about clambake. So, welcome, Paris.
Hi, Josh. Hi, Alex.
Hi. So, clambake season. Why do people do clambakes this time of year? Like, it always seems like September, October roll around and people start doing
Well, it's this New England tradition that has moved its way to the Midwest. When people from New England moved to the Midwest, they didn't want to give up their clambakes. So they started having them shipped in, and it was a status symbol to have a clambake. And then whatever was left over was used by restaurants and anybody else who wanted to do it. It's done in months that end in R because that's when the clams are the best.
Okay, so September, October, November, December.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask, like, I'm thinking seafood is like more of a summer
No, it's
thing,
not with shellfish.
Shellfish is different.
Okay.
But it used to just be October was when clambakes really became popular. But now they're stretching the season from September to the end of October.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of just like, I've never really thought about it, but growing up in Northeast Ohio, it's like, why do we always eat clams like in October?
I know.
It's like a fall. It seems like it would be a
fall thing.
Summer.
I always thought it was more because, they're steaming it and it's hot and there's fire and all of that going on and you're outside and in your sweaters. But that's just part of it.
Yeah, so just to go in a little bit into sort of the detail of like what makes up a clambake exactly. Like what does that entail?
Most of the dinners include a dozen clams, corn on the cob, baked potato, usually a sweet potato, a half or a quarter chicken, and then and rolls and butter. Sometimes they include a salad, clam chowder, broth. Sometimes you can add a lobster or a steak. Those, again, are newer additions.
Yeah.
And some of the steaks, because I put together a guide, I didn't touch nearly the dozens that are available in Northeast Ohio, but they're anywhere from 4-ounce steaks to 10-ounce steaks, and they vary in price and size. And
yeah, no, it's funny because my parents too. Like my mom, every year gets excited for clambake season, but she doesn't eat clams. Like she just eats the chicken, and I'm like, why are you always so excited?
I love people like her because then I eat her clams.
Oh, I know, I don't mind it because then I'll eat them. But it's like, why are you into it if you're not even into it? But I think it is just like a community fall thing, reason for people to get together on the weekend.
Definitely.
And so you put together a guide of restaurants and different places in the area doing them for people who are not kind of hosting this year.
Right.
What were some standouts for you that people...
Well, I noticed it's everything from pubs like Gunzelman's in Fairview Park to Il Venetian downtown. You can get something that's a little bit like you can sit outside and have a picnic area, or you can go fine dining and get a multi-course dinner. You can, most of them have middle neck clams, if not all of them, because they're the sweetest and the most tender. I'm just trying to think of what else.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bunch of places. I know even though it's been such like a Northeast Ohio thing for a while, like Poppy in Cleveland Heights is doing their first celebration for Clambake, and it just seems like people are still hopping onto it. Like it's like a fad that's never going away.
And, I mean, I've only been doing the guide. This is my third guide I've done, and it seems like there's more, and there's more variety, and there's more add-ons, and sometimes they have them lunch and dinner every day of the month. Some of them just have them Fridays. Some have just one day in the whole season. And you pay $60 and you have to get reservations and you can be part of that one-day party.
Yeah. And for people who do want to host at home, where should they get clams in Northeast Ohio?
There's probably 3 big places to go. 2 are the biggest, are Cantonese Classics, our classic seafood down in the flats. And the other one would be Euclid Fish and Mentor. And if you go to the West Side Market, there's always Kate's Fish.
Yeah, no, I know.
One of my favorites.
They have a ton of, I was there last weekend, they have a ton of clams. And I was like, it's the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about sort of how you're saying they're kind of expanding and evolving and with all the add-ons and stuff, when is a clambake no longer a clambake in terms of like what you're putting into the experience?
I know, right?
It is, yeah. Well, that's what I say to my mom. I'm like, you don't like a clambake. You like a barbecue chicken party. Like, that's what it is.
Right. There actually is a move towards more seafood boils.
Oh.
Instead of a clambake. So
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Do you eat crawfish?
Yeah.
Do you prefer crawfish to a clam?
That's a good question, but I'm gonna go with yes.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
But clams are, it's the season, I like it. But they're probably my least favorite shellfish. Like, I love oysters. I love mussels. I love scallops. Is that it's in a shell, right? Yeah, but I feel like clams, it's like, it's a seasonal thing. But yeah, so it just seems like there's plenty of places to go out and try a clambake if you haven't, or indulge in the tradition, and I'm sure there will be plenty of butter.
And the guide will give you ideas of what the price ranges and the opportunities should be.
For sure. And now we're joined by Peter Chakerian, who's going to talk to us a little bit about chili cook-offs. Hi, Pete.
Hi, friends.
You're welcome.
Yes, so off with the clambakes too. It's chili cook-off season, football season. Everyone's making chili. And what is a chili cook-off, or how would you describe kind of the gathering?
Well, it's interesting. I think most of them involve some sort of competitive nature. I think people bring their own chili. Sometimes you have to toss in like an entry fee, and everybody lines up their crock pots along the counter, and you get to try all of them, and then you get to vote.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty fun thing. Neighbors down the street from us have been doing this for, I don't know how long. It's been the better part of like 10 or 15 years, so Mike and Jen. And they have usually 20 or more crock pots in their house at one time during the cook-off.
Yeah, no, my parents always do a chili cook-off too. It does seem like it's hearty time of the year. People are getting together for like football games and stuff. It's like an easy potluck kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I was introduced to chili cook-offs through like workplace competitions. I feel like that's kind of traditional, a very easy, simple thing that kind of everybody can participate in. So that's sort of how I've kind of delved into the tradition. Haven't done that in a while, not here at cleveland.com, but maybe we should one day.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, so do you think that Northeast Ohio or the Midwest region like has a specific or special claim on like a chili cook-off?
I don't necessarily know that, Cleveland does per se. Definitely it's more of a Midwestern thing. I think outside of the Midwest you'd be hard pressed to find that happen. Maybe a place like in the South.
Like
Southwest,
Texas
like
or
Texas
something.
or Arizona, you might have some, inkling towards that, but it's a different, again, chili's different for them down there than it is for us up here too.
Well, and in Ohio too, you just know, like obviously again, not Cleveland, but the Cincinnati, the Skyline people, it's chili capital of the U.S. in Cincinnati.
Yeah, for sure.
It does feel like it is our kind of seasonal thing. And I mean, I guess if you were living like in L.A., I don't really want to sit on the couch and eat a bowl. It feels like it's an Ohio thing.
It really is.
Yeah, chili in LA sounds like it should be illegal. But talking about sort of these regional differences, Pete, you mentioned that there might have been some beef in chili. I don't know if that's the right kind of way to pun it out, but you know what I'm saying. There's a little bit of resistance to white chicken chili down in the South.
Well, people will just some people don't think white chicken chili is chili.
I think if you get past a certain point in the country, somewhere below the Mason-Dixon line, they don't even think beans belong in chili.
No, that is
crazy.
a very Midwest thing to put beans in it. They think it's like, well, because if you don't put beans in it, it's like eating a bowl of bolognese.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
It's weird. Like, I need beans in it.
Yeah.
And I love white chicken chili. That's like, I don't know. Some people put pasta in their chili. Do you think that counts?
That sounds kind of ridiculous. Like you're trying to just make
Well,
spaghetti.
it's Skyline. It's Skyline. They put it on noodles.
Yes, that's true.
They're weird.
That's basically chili, though. I feel like that's like chili pasta or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
It's like chili mac or there are a couple of other names for that are escaping me right now.
But yeah, I need some chili beans in my chili.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think you're a typical beef chili person, or would you kind of expect, you would probably eat ground turkey chili?
Yeah, ground turkey chili is the only way to go because you can season it just like beef, but you can feel
gross.
like it's responsible. It can work a little bit better with your body.
I'd rather eat
yeah.
a venison chili than a turkey
God,
chili.
No.
I feel like sometimes you're just contrarian.
Me?
to do
No,
it.
I swear. Ground turkey, like, there is no reason. When I discovered that
I
you
hate
can
it.
season it and cook it the same exact way as, like, normal ground beef, I'm like, there's no reason. And taco,
Except it's
ground,
dry.
anything.
Dry and flavorless.
No, not if you season and cook it well. No, if you put all
So
that,
don't eat.
put all
Josh's
the
chili
olive
would not
oil
win
in
the
there.
cleveland.com office.
No,
chili
this is good. Maybe we're doing it wrong. You should tell us, like, what is
Yeah.
it? What is it in the preparation that makes?
How would you
turkey
make your chili for?
work?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's been a while, but specifically talking on the ground turkey, I would put that on a skillet. I would put a lot of like olive oil in there, season it with a lot of seasoned salt, a lot of
Chili powder.
Yeah, chili powder, a lot of beef. I think there's like a beef seasoning. I would season it with like just an array of like beef flavored savory.
All the random things in your cabinet.
Exactly. Basically, just the works in there, and put some kind of chipotle powder in there, just a little bit to keep it a little bit spicy for the chili. And in terms of the rest of the ingredients, I kind of use a pressure cooker. What is it called? I forget what it's called.
Yeah. Like an Instant Pot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a pot. And so I think I put the beef in there. I throw the ground turkey in there. I throw a lot of chopped celery, black beans, pinto beans, and chili beans. Maybe some carrots diced if I have them. Maybe some onions, and I just kind of like let it go. I don't know. Wait, no. I also put something else. I can't remember because it's got to be some kind of base in it, right? I can't remember what else I put in.
Peppers.
Oh yeah, peppers.
Like a chili pepper.
'cause the vegetables and stuff, it normally creates a lot of moisture if I'm remembering correct. But I'm sure there's got to be
Probably like a
liquid.
sauce, like
Yeah.
of some kind. I don't know.
remember.
I honestly, I'm not a huge chili person, but I love white chicken chili, and that's what I would usually make most of the time. But
So, how do you make your white chicken chili?
I would probably do it in a crock pot. I would probably use chicken thighs because they're more flavorful.
Absolutely.
Like, what else do I put in it? Yeah, like carrots and different things like that. You got to use chili powder, like white pinto-y, like whatever those Great
Yeah,
Northern
like Great Northern beans or
beans.
navy beans.
corn.
Really? Mm-hmm. In a white chicken
What?
chili? No, that's
I mean,
interesting.
What's
I
your
like it.
problem with corn?
It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. It's
I
good.
don't have anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like different stuff like that.
Sometimes I might put a little bit of don't judge me, of a taco seasoning like back in there too. Just to
Josh
give it
just
the-
puts enough seasoning so that whatever he's seasoning tastes like food,
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe.
What
it
about,
works.
okay, so what would you make? What would your chili be?
Well, I really like chili that has hunks of meat in it. So if I'm going to do it either, with chicken or with beef, I probably would pick thighs, or I would pick some kind of chuck to work with, stew it down really nicely. And in addition to using like chili powder, I like to use cumin and coriander as a spice because I believe that those both bring out a real sort of meaty kind of umami. Adding a little butter to your olive oil is also really good because it gives it sort of that added oomph of unctuousness. So I really like that. can't go wrong with the Trinity. You go, carrots, celery, onions, and then throw peppers in there too. So you're that's your base.
Yeah.
That's your base. Definitely a tomato base too. I mean, that's
Yeah,
and
tomatoes in there too. Yeah. Working
with broth sort of to add to that tomato base, I think is really good too. And if you can make your own broth in advance, even better. That's my opinion on it. I also do like to add a little bit of molasses to it because I think it adds another sort of whole layer of depth of flavor to it. So, but that's just me.
But it's kind of like, but going into what I was going to say, because like in Cincinnati and Skyline, they put cinnamon in their chili.
They do. And I don't know if I can abide that, but, everybody to each their own. I do also, I did a book about Brown's tailgating quite a while back, and one of the recipes that I included in there was like a grilled vegetable chili. So when you include your onions and your peppers and your celery and your carrots, grilling them first and allowing them to cool, and then cutting them and putting them into the chili, that whole sort of caramelization that happens when you're working on the grill adds another layer of flavor. I mean, some people would be more inclined to just throw a little like liquid smoke or something in theirs, and that's an easy way to do it. But boy, do you get a whole other thing going if you add some real interesting stuff to it.
I'm sure that the people who don't like beans in their chili would be thrilled to have a vegetable-only meatless chili, but I think it counts. It counts.
Oh, I like beans in my chili though too. I mean, I'm definitely dark red and light red kidney. And sometimes black beans, although not always.
Yeah. No, and I feel like if I eat chili, it's like for the toppings. Like I want to eat cornbread. I want to eat like cheese on it, green onions, like all that.
For sure.
Sour cream. And then putting it on a hot dog. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So, yeah, it's chili cook-off season. And seems like everybody's, whether you're doing it at home or in your office or going to a fundraiser thing, there's lots of ways to experiment with that. So
it's also a lot of fun, I think, if you've never done one before, to either, buy into one of these chili cook-offs with your friends or your family and really enjoy that, but make it a part of your sort of fall festivities too. There are a lot of other things that we do along the way, sort of piggybacking on the clambake conversation from earlier. Definitely do a clambake every few years and host it as opposed to go out for it. Not that there's anything wrong with going out for it, but then doing like a pumpkin beer tasting, which is a lot of fun. Or closer to Christmas, doing like a holiday beer tasting. Those are all really great ways to sort of bring people together and inspire discussion around food and drink for the holiday season. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it almost feels like we get off of like we're out all summer, we're going places, we're on patios, we're doing that, and it's like now people just want to like spend their weekends at home with friends and family, like cooking, and these kind of traditions are a good way to do it.
It is, and you have to be a little more intentional. In the summertime, a lot of times people just show up, and if they show up with a 6-pack and a package of dogs or burgers, the next thing you know, you kind of have an instant party. But you got to be a little bit more intentional about it. In that sort of hospitality way, if you really want to do something more meaningful when it gets cold, because it takes a lot to get people out of their house when it's cold. I'm just saying.
No, I know, and it's nice to have like kind of things that people just naturally do to find ways to get through the bad season, since we only have like 3 good months here.
Right. And I just have to say too, while I'm thinking about it, when you're thinking about holiday beers, end of July is too early for Oktoberfest beer. Full stop. Like, I don't know where that got started, but you need to stop, like, as soon as possible.
Oh, Jesus. Well, now it's Oktoberfest beer and chili season, so it's allowed now.
It's all allowed now.
But beware for next year, because Pete will come for you.
Yes, we all will.
AKA, he'll probably just drink it.
I might.
There you go.
All right, Alex, and you have some new restaurant opening news for us, so talk about that.
Yeah, there's a couple new restaurants coming to town in Playhouse Square in the former Cowell and Hubbard space. Will be the Friars Table. It's kind of in partnership with Playhouse Square, the Capuchin Order, which is the Cleveland Capuchin Diocese, and Edwin's Brandon Krastowski, who we talk about all the time. He's kind of an owner consultant, but it's kind of a really cool concept because it feels very watered down to say it's a monk themed bar, but it is like it's owned by the part owned by the Capuchin order. All the food is going to be kind of monastic cuisine. So there's going to be things like fresh baked pretzels, stews, croquettes. They're going to have wine list and Trappist beers, which Trappist beers are, or ales, they're a type of beer that can only be made by Trappist monks.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of them I think are in Belgium and stuff like that, but they're going to have a list for that. But the whole goal, which is kind of cool because it's in this Playhouse Square area where there's a lot of high-end restaurants, is that it's going to be a community space for people to gather regardless of whether you're going and spending $1 million at the Playhouse on tickets or you're just in need of a meal. So I think the most expensive entree is $25 for lunch or dinner. So it seems like they're doing it like really simple. They're not trying to make it an overly flashy space, anything like that. Just provide a space for the community to gather, people to have these conversations around food, most people being able to afford it, but they do have some kind of like cool aspects to it too, for sure.
And them being sort of attached to the Edwin's, I guess, motto, it sounded from the story like it was going to be sort of specifically aimed at like helping people in need. So how exactly is that happening?
Yeah, I think the Edwin's model is if Brandon at Edwin's, he hires, they're a leadership and education institute, hires formerly incarcerated people to kind of help them get back on their feet. They have so many resources at Edwin's besides just giving people jobs.
Right.
It's like really watered down to just say that. But I think that's going to be employed here, and just kind of having this space to be able to feed people.
Okay.
I'm sure there's going to be more in the future. I think they're planning to open beginning of next year. So it's just going to be like this simple food everyone would want to eat, food pretty much everyone can enjoy. And it has this kind of cool niche of being a monk restaurant.
Yeah. Do we have anything else like that in terms of the monk aspect? I've never heard.
No, I've had Trappist ales before because I thought it was really cool. But I think it is just bringing something totally different to downtown. And I think, like I said, I think the Playhouse Square district, there are a lot of restaurants, and especially in the past several decades, it's always kind of been a high-end dining destination, and it's cool to have something for everybody, especially downtown where you don't know anybody's situation. Not everyone can like pay for valet parking at a bougie steakhouse. It's like, but no, you can go here. So
yeah, and just the diversity of terms of the offerings of the area, this adds a whole nother element to that I think is really special.
Yeah, for sure. And then kind of across town in North Royalton, the old Carrie Serino space is now Via Roma on Ridge Road. Via Roma is totally honoring the legacy of Carrie Serino's, which shut down during COVID, and I think it's been shut down for over 4 years now. But the restaurant team behind the Aviator Event Club, which is huge in Brook Park, I think, or by the airport.
Yeah, by the airport.
But they have taken over this space. The restaurant Carrie Serino's originally opened in 1963, so there's a huge history there. They have totally redone the space, brought it up to modern times, but really honored that history at Carrie Serino's with the decor and everything. And one of the cool parts is in the basement. They're calling it a grotto, and it's a downstairs lounge boothy area that feels like a 1960s club, so you get that old school vibe.
Oh, I love that.
I know. I like the grotto too. But another cool thing about the space, I know Marc Bona wrote in his story recently, it has a high-low bar. So there's a high where you're sitting in a bar stool, but then you could sit in a seat like normal.
Underrated.
I think that's underrated too.
For sure.
I don't like being up high.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. A lot of people like to have
especially if I'm drinking. I need a solid ground.
Right, it almost feels like a recipe for disaster, but anyway.
I know. But yes, and then they're going to be opening with dinner service, eventually expanding to lunch, but it's super classic Italian, homemade pasta and pasta sauces, scratch cooking. They're going to have kind of the classic entrees like branzino, scallops, cuts of meat, arancini appetizers. So very classic Italian, not your usual, like huge family style portions, but like real deal Italians.
And Via Roma is open now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. But I love that whole idea of that whole 60s-ish kind of period area to go. You can easily have some kind of a throwback celebration or whatever.
Well, and that's the thing. In Mark's story, he was talking to people who remember, since it's been around for so long, who had Sweet 16 parties at Carrie Severino's. And it's like, wow, what if you had like your 50th birthday party in the grotto if you had your Sweet 16 there or something like that?
That sounds so cute.
But it's just really nice to see these spaces kind of come into the new modern era in the restaurant scene without totally losing the history. Like I think it's probably impossible to go to Via Roma and not really get that sense that Carrie Serino's has. So it's really cool to see them coming together.
Yeah, I wonder if there are any other places, because I feel like we keep hearing a story similar to this where it's like some old classical place shut down. Somebody came in, renovated it, brought it back in a spiritual way, but not exactly the same way. And so like the future is progressing.
Le Cave du Vin. Yeah, Le Cave du Vin in Tremont. That used to be a legendary wine bar in Cleveland Heights that closed for a while. And then eventually Buildings and Food, which owned Spotted Owl in Tremont, converted the space to Le Cave du Vin. So it's not, that is almost different because it's not the same building, but they brought back the whole concept and made it feel like the original space. So I think it is cool. Like, especially in Cleveland, it's like, I don't know. Obviously, like we all know, like it's expanding. Where Cleveland people are realizing we're here and it's really cool here.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it just feels like, okay, you go to a restaurant and this could be in any major city, but it's cool when people really respect and honor those Cleveland classic traditions and what makes it so unique to be here. So
yeah, and you're just gonna pass that from generation to generation, those stories, and it's always gonna be a reminder there. And the next generation's gonna engage with this new thing in a way that's kind of different, but you'll always kind of have a similar connection based on what it used to be to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Via Roma, it's going to be very cool. I think the neighborhood's been missing it, and North Royalton in general, I think could probably use like a fine dining Italian real deal place. So great. It's always great to hear new restaurants opening.
Yep.
Thanks so much for listening to or watching Dine Drink CLE, the podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Instagram at DineDrinkCLE and subscribe to our newsletter at cleveland.com/newsletters.